Good evening, everyone. So now we are going to discuss about mechanism of breathing. First, some basic introduction about breathing versus respiration. Okay. So actually, breathing is a part of respiration. So what is respiration? Where it is happening? So what is respiration? The process by which food particles are broken down with the help of oxygen to release energy in the form of ATP and carbon dioxide. That is called respiration, and it is happening at the cellular level. So here is the equation: food plus oxygen to release energy in the form of ATP and carbon dioxide. This is happening at the cellular level. That is why we'll always call it as cellular respiration. In fact, breathing helps in respiration. So what is breathing? Breathing is also called as pulmonary ventilation. Breathing is also called as pulmonary ventilation. It includes two processes, as we all know. They are inspiration and expiration. So two processes are there: inspiration and expiration. So now we are going to see the mechanism of breathing. Before we are discussing about the mechanism of breathing, we need to know what are the things required for breathing. Before entering into the topic of mechanism of breathing, we need to know some basic anatomy of thoracic cage as well as the anatomical structure that helps in breathing. So first we will see the topics now. As we see in this diagram, the area which is present inside this blue color border, that is called thoracic cage, or we can call it as a thoracic chamber. Okay, now some terminologies we need to know in understanding the anatomy things. So here are some terminologies we need to know. What is anterior? Anterior means front part of the body, whichever is present in the front part, and posterior is the back side of the body. And medial, what is medial? Medial means towards the body, and lateral is away from the body. Okay, regarding dorsal and ventral, we'll see this image now. Okay, so this is a human. In human, this the front part is called the ventral part, and the backside part is called the dorsal part. Okay, so here monkeys are there. You take cow as an example. In almost all the chordates, okay, the upper part is the dorsal part, and lower part is the ventral part. This is for other chordates. In human, it is actually reverse. In front it is ventral and back it is dorsal. So these are the relations now. So anterior means front, posterior means back side, medial means which is towards our body, lateral means which is present away from the body, and dorsal and ventral just now we saw. In human, in front it is ventral and back it is dorsal. Now we are going to see the structures forming the framework of the thoracic cage. Okay, so this part, the central part, I'm drawing the boundary here. This part is called the sternum bone. This is the sternum bone. We can feel it in front of our chest. Just feel it now. That is a sternum bone. Okay, so on both the sides, these are the rib bones. Okay, so see, this part is dark in color with the part which is close to the sternum. These are black in color, isn't it? So this is it's not a bone actually, it's a cartilage. Okay, this is the cartilage part. This is a cartilage. Okay, next to the cartilage, this part is a bony part. This is the rib bone. These are ribs. So ribs are attached to the sternum with the help of the cartilage. So wherever you are seeing the dark color thing in this diagram, that is nothing but a cartilage. Okay, so here the ribs are present at the lateral side of the body. So these relations are very, very important. Now we'll see again. I'll rub it, then we will see it. Okay, so in front of the chest, okay, in front of the chest is a sternum bone is there. Okay, so this relation is the ventral relation. Since it is present, as you know, in human, the front part is a ventral part, isn't it? So this is a ventral part. Okay, if you see behind, so what is dorsal? In ventral, sternum is there. In dorsal, it is vertebra. Here above we will not be able to see. These are the vertebrae. See here one vertebra, here another vertebra. So below also you are able to see the vertebrae. So sternum is ventral and vertebrae is dorsal. These two relations we know. On either side of the body we are able to see the ribs. These are the ribs. So ribs are the lateral relation. Okay, and one more relation I want to talk here. Okay, so inside this thoracic cage, just see this diagram. This is the thoracic cage. Inside it contains the lungs. Pair of lung is there just below the lung. For example, this is the lung. So this is the lower part of the lung. Okay, the part which is present below the lung, this is nothing but a muscle. It's a single muscle. Okay, this muscle is called diaphragm. It's not a bone, it is a muscle. Actually, lung present on top of the diaphragm. Okay, that means, so diaphragm is a structure which supports the lung from the basal part. Okay, so 5 structures we saw. Sternum is there, ribs, actually rib contains a cartilage part and bony part. Then behind vertebra is there. So sternum is a ventral relation and vertebra is a dorsal relation, and lateral side of the thoracic cage is formed by ribs. Inferior relation, inferior means below it is covered by a muscular structure that is called diaphragm. Already we discussed about one muscle, that is a diaphragm muscle, that is a key muscle in breathing process. Actually 2 more muscles are there, those are present between the ribs. Okay, so this is one rib, this is another rib. Okay, between these ribs some muscles are attached which is not shown here, so I'm going to draw those muscles here. These types are the muscles here. Okay, so in between the muscle which is present in between the ribs are called intercostal. Inter means always, it is inter means this muscle is called intercostal muscle. Inter means in between and costal means ribs. So it is, these muscles are present between the ribs. Okay, actually there are 2 intercostal muscles are there. One is present outside and one which is present inside. The muscle which is present outside is called external intercostal, and the muscle which is present inside it is called internal intercostal muscle. Okay, in the process of breathing, actually external intercostal plays an important role. Now we are going to discuss about the axes involved in the mechanism of breathing. Here is one 4-legged animal. As we know, in 4-legged animal, the upper part is the Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the axis involved in the breathing. Okay, so consider this as one 4-legged animal. Okay, in this the upper part is the, as we all know, it is a dorsal part. Upper part is a dorsal part, and this is the lower part, this is the ventral part. For humans, dorsal part is backside. For humans, ventral part is in front, isn't it? Okay, this is the tail of the body, and this is the head of the, that is the tail part, and this is the head part. Okay, head is always present in the front side, isn't it? So for this 4-legged animal, I'm going to draw the thoracic chamber now. So for this animal, this here only the thoracic cavity will be there. Okay, so in this thoracic cavity, this part is called dorsal part and this part is called ventral part. Okay, these 2 parts are over now. Okay, what is this part called? It is in front of the body, isn't it? So always front part is called anterior, and this is the end of the thoracic chamber, so this part is called posterior. So we are going to discuss about the relations in axis based on these animals only. So we are going, if you know this now, it will be very easy to apply there in the humans. Okay, so consider this is a 4-legged animal, this is a thoracic chamber, above part is dorsal, below part is ventral, and front it is anterior and back side it is posterior. Since we are discussing here about the entry of air and exit of air, we need to discuss about this law, that is the Boyle's law. We are not going to into too much detail here. So Boyle's law, it is nothing but the pressure exerted by a gas at a constant temperature is inversely proportional to the volume occupied by it. So it's nothing but pressure is inversely proportional to volume. This law we need to know. And one more thing we need to know, 1 atmospheric pressure is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. This also we need to know. 1 atmospheric pressure is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. Okay, now we are going to discuss the mechanism of breathing. Before that, okay, you all sit straight. Okay, now this is your body. Okay, now you are going to keep your hands here on both the sides of the body. Just keep it here below the rib cage. Okay, now you all are going to take a deep breath in now, and breathe out. Again breathe in and breathe out. Next, another exercise. Now you all keep your hands here on the tip of the shoulder on both the sides. Okay, just hold your shoulder from above. Again, now breathe in again and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Yes, that's all. Now listen. First step, I said you to keep your hands on the hips, isn't it? Near the rib cage, actually. Okay. That time you will be able to feel something is going down. That is nothing but the diaphragm is going down. Okay. This is the diaphragm. So whenever you are breathing in, that time the diaphragm will contract. Now here comes the question. Okay. Whether inspiration causes diaphragm contraction or diaphragm contraction causes inspiration. The answer is diaphragm contraction causes inspiration. Okay. So how diaphragm contracts? You all know heart contracts on its own, isn't it? Because it has got the pacemaker that is called SA node. What about diaphragm? Diaphragm is a muscle. It's not a special muscle. Okay. So this diaphragm, okay, how it contracts means because it receives impulse from the brain. Okay. So diaphragm receives impulse from the brain. Which part of the brain? Medulla of the brain. Medulla oblongata. Okay, so brain, medulla sends impulse to the diaphragm. Now diaphragm contracts. If diaphragm contracts, now what will happen? This is a normal shape of the diaphragm. Now when it contracts, it becomes flat like this. Okay, as you see in this diagram, this first diagram is the normal shape of the diaphragm. Normal shape matlab, okay, actually diaphragm is present in the dome shape. This is like a dome. It is present at the expiration stage. Actually, this is during expiration. Okay, during inspiration, what happens? This diaphragm becomes flat. See, between the base of the lungs, this is the base of the lung and this is the diaphragm. See how much space it has got. Okay, the space increased. Actually here the space is very less. Okay, so because of this, since the diaphragm contracts, okay, it has got more space. The lungs has got more space to expand in size. As you see in this diagram, during inspiration, the space between the lungs and the diaphragm increases, isn't it? Okay, so this is the next diagram. See, follow this next diagram. Now in this diagram, the lung expanded to its maximum capacity because of the space provided by the contraction of the diaphragm. Just now we discussed Boyle's law, isn't it? So Boyle's law is nothing but, in simple terms, volume inversely proportional to pressure or pressure inversely proportional to volume. Okay, so see in this diagram, compare these two diagrams. This is diagram number A and this is diagram B. Okay, you just compare both the lungs. In which lung, A or B, in which the lung volume is more. Lung volume means lung size. Okay, so volume of lung, capacity of lung. So volume of lung B is more than lung A, isn't it? So as if we apply that Boyle's law, so where the pressure will be more, the pressure will be exactly reverse, isn't it? So during inspiration, what happens? So during inspiration, just now we saw diaphragm contracts. Because of contraction of diaphragm, what happens to the thoracic chamber? Okay, again I will draw the diagram here roughly. So this is the sternum. These are the ribs. Okay, so below here is a diaphragm muscle. Now this diaphragm becomes flat, isn't it? Now this diaphragm is flat. Because of this, lung expands. Because of this, lung expands till here, isn't it? Okay, so now you just see the diagram and tell me, when diaphragm contracts, in which axis the lungs expand. Just see, from above to below, isn't it? The lung expands like this, from above to below. Okay, as we discussed, this is the thoracic cage diagram, isn't it? Okay, we always will apply this thing only, isn't it? In four-legged animal, that relations we are going to follow in the humans also. So this is a human thoracic cage. Okay, so the axis is going to increase from above to below, isn't it? So what is this part is called? Just see this four-legged animal. What is the front part is called? That front part is called anterior. So this is anterior part. If this is anterior, now what is the below part is called? This is posterior. As we see in this diagram, whenever diaphragm contracts, the axis increases from above to below. That means whenever diaphragm contracts, which axis will increase here? It will be a anteroposterior axis. Whenever diaphragm contracts, anteroposterior axis will increase. Anteroposterior axis of the thoracic chamber will increase in size. Now again come back to this exercise. As I said during the second step, I asked you all to keep your both the hands on the tip of both the shoulders, isn't it? Now again do it again. Keep both the hands on the tip of the shoulder and breathe in. If you breathe in, you will be able to see the shoulder is rising up. It's not actually the shoulder, the rib cages are going up. Why the rib cages are going up? It is because of contraction of the external intercostal muscle. Okay, just see in the second, these are the lungs. This is one shoulder, this is another shoulder. Okay, as you breathe in, the thoracic cages will move like this. In this side also it will move like this. If it moves like this now, the thoracic cavity will increase in volume again. Okay, just see. This is the thoracic volume shape. It looks like elliptical shape, isn't it? This is during rest. Okay, so whenever the thoracic volume increases in size, it become like almost like near circle. Okay, so this effect is because of contraction of external intercostal muscle. This is because of the contraction of external intercostal muscle. Now just again keep the shoulders on the keep both your hands on the shoulders and breathe in again. That time only you will be able to feel this circle. Okay, if you see the thoracic chamber, it will be like this only. Okay, so now contraction of external intercostal muscle causes which increase in size of the axis of thoracic chamber, that we'll see now. Okay, so as I said, normally the thoracic chamber is elliptical in shape. Whenever the external intercostal muscle contracts, it become near circle. Okay, what is the difference between this diagram and this diagram? Okay, here the axis is increasing from dorsal to ventral, front to back. Okay, this is the difference, isn't it? That is why whenever external intercostal muscle contracts, okay, whenever the external intercostal muscle contracts, the axis will increase in. This is ventral part, isn't it? And this is the dorsal part. So it is a dorsoventral or ventrodorsal axis. The axis will increase. Okay, now we'll summarize. Whenever the diaphragm contracts, the axis will increase from above to below. As you all know, in thoracic cavity, the upper part is called the anterior part and lower part is called the posterior part. This is during contraction of the diaphragm. Okay, and whenever there is contraction of external intercostal muscles, that time what will happen? Axis will increase from dorsal to ventral. Okay, so these two are very important point for the NEET. These two questions are very important. Okay, diaphragm causes increase in AP axis diameter and external intercostal muscle causes increase in axis of dorsoventral part. Okay, so these two are very important. Okay, so as we all know, in thoracic cage is expanding like this and like this. Okay, so here also it is increasing in diameter, in lengthwise also it is increasing in diameter. So thoracic cage volume is increased. Okay, now we'll apply the Boyle's law. Whenever there is increase in volume, the pressure will be low. Okay, so which volume I am talking about here? It is a lung volume. Obviously, if thoracic cage volume is high, means definitely lung also can expand to maximum size, isn't it? So there will be increase in lung volume. Because of that, what will happen? The pressure inside the lung will be less. As we all know, pressure always tries to equalize, isn't it, with the atmospheric pressure. So what will happen? Obviously we know pressure tries to equalize, isn't it? So here during inspiration, okay, lung volume is more. Since lung volume is more, lung pressure is less. If lung pressure is lesser than which pressure? It is lesser than atmospheric pressure. 1 atmospheric pressure is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury, isn't it? Okay, so lung pressure is less than 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, so what will happen? The gases will move from high concentration to low concentration. Now where is the high concentration? The high concentration is in the atmosphere. That is why gas enters from atmosphere into the lungs. Okay, that is called inspiration. Why inspiration happens? The reason for inspiration, it is because of increase in lung volume. So what is the reason for increase in lung volume? It is because of contraction of diaphragm and contraction of external intercostal muscle. Okay, both of them will increase the thoracic chamber volume. If thoracic chamber volume increases now, definitely lung volume is going to increase. That results in decrease in lung pressure. A decrease in lung pressure when compared to the atmospheric pressure. That is why atmospheric air tries to enter the lungs. So it enters. This process is called inspiration. Okay. So this is a flowchart for inspiration. So from medulla, the impulse comes and reaches the diaphragm. Along with it, external intercostal muscle also contracts. So diaphragm causes increase in AP axis and external intercostal muscle causes increase in DV axis. Both of them results in increase in thoracic chamber volume. Ultimately, it results in increase in pulmonary volume. Pulmonary volume is nothing but a lung volume. This results in decrease in pulmonary pressure when compared to the atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric air enters the lungs. Gas exchange will takes place. This is called inspiration. Now we are going to discuss the expiration. It's the exact opposite of the inspiration. Okay, here during expiration, medulla stops sending impulse to the diaphragm. So diaphragm won't contract, and simultaneously external intercostal muscle also won't contract. So the thoracic chamber size now decreases. It results in decrease in the lung volume as well. So if lung volume increases now, lung pressure will increase. That is more than the atmospheric pressure. That is why air exits the lung. This is called expiration. Okay, as you see, expiration happens because of the relaxation of the diaphragm and external intercostal muscle. That is why it is a passive process. Okay, that is why it is a, this we'll see in the muscle chapter. Expiration is a passive process. This is very, very important. Okay, as you see here, for normal respiration and normal inspiration, there is no role of internal intercostal muscles. Okay, so then what is the function of them? Okay, whenever we are doing forced inspiration or forced expiration, that time only internal intercostal muscle as well as some abdominal muscles will also take part. Okay, so what is the role of the abdominal muscle and internal intercostal muscle? They got no role in normal inspiration and normal expiration. Normal inspiration and normal expiration, only two muscles. As we discussed, the key muscle is the diaphragm. Okay, how it will contract? By receiving the impulse from the medulla. Okay, there only respiratory center is there. Okay, so abdominal muscle and intercostal muscle, this will takes part its role in breathing only whenever there is forced breathing, forced inspiration or forced expiration. Okay, so now what is respiratory rate? Okay, here also we'll finish off that. Respiratory rate means rate, you all know, with respect to time. So it is, in short, it is called RR. Okay, for a normal human, like adult, like more than 12 years of age, more than 10 years of age, it is like 12 to 16 breaths per minute. 12 to 16 breaths per minute. This is not heart rate. Heart rate is around 60 to 100. That is beats per minute. Heart rate is beats per minute. Respiratory rate is a function of lungs. Okay, it's a 12 to 16 per minute. Okay. Now, how can we access the lung functions? Okay, that's a pulmonary function. There is one special instrument that is called spirometer. Spirometer is an instrument that is used to measure the lung volumes. Okay, that's all regarding this topic. Okay.